All right, guys, welcome back to the Discover Eden podcast. My name is Brandon,
I'm Jonathan.
Marty.
and hopefully, again, this setup works a little bit differently, and you can hear us this time.
Hopefully,
Yeah, we'll see.
we'll find out.
But this is a little weird. We are now exiting the Creature series, and we're entering into the series called Fire and Water. And we'll basically talk about what that series might look like this week, and we'll get into it. But first, we'll start with some prayer.
Whose turn is it?
It's a great question.
I don't even remember who prayed last week.
I think I did.
You did.
I think.
You want to pray? Or do you want me
Sure.
to pray?
I can go.
And I will pray next week.
Hopefully, we remember that next
Yeah,
week.
we won't.
All right, Lord, we thank you for this time together. We thank you for just the series that we came out of and being able to talk about all those things, Lord, and for this new series that we're going into, just being able to talk about fire and water and all that means, what all that means, and all the allegory, alliteration, cultural views, biblical views, all of that stuff, Lord. So just lead us in that, give us your wisdom, and be with us here tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, so guys, I'll give you guys a sneak peek into what the bumper is like, and then we'll get into it. Gotta love it. All right. Bye. All right. So, kind of how this series kind of came about. Initially, there was going to be a different series that we planned after Creatures, which is Creation, the Creation series. And that was going to kind of be our way into it. However, as I was kind of preparing different things to talk about and series to talk about, kind of felt like God was laying on my heart to talk about something like spiritual warfare. Uh, Maybe that's given the season that we're entering into, or just how people kind of go through ups and downs, hills and valleys in their lives, and how do you navigate that? What does that look like, and what does like the Bible say about like what did people in the Bible do? They face these situations. So that's kind of where we're going with in this discussion for this series. This is going to be an introductory episode, so we're getting the bare bones. Maybe give what we kind of think of when we think of spiritual warfare. Obviously, it goes into the fire and water motifs that you see in the Bible, so there's that aspect as well. But how about let's just start off with, when you think of spiritual warfare, what's something that you think
The first thing that comes to mind for me is, well, I don't know. I guess three different things all hit me at the same time. But Jesus in the garden. Jesus in the garden and in the wilderness, kind of both of those, killer spiritual warfare. One is the obvious one that he's out in the wilderness, that the spirit sent him out there to be tempted by the devil. So there's that side of it. But then in the garden, when he's getting ready to go to the cross, like there was something going on there too. We don't get details on that, but it would be, to me, that seems like a pretty obvious battle going on there. Even to the point where he's talking about not wanting to go through with that. If this cup can pass, let it be so. But nevertheless, let your will be done. Whether that's a battle with the flesh, battle with the enemy, battle whatever. There's some battle going on there. So there's those kind of two things that come to mind for me. Daniel is another one. Talk about when he's in prayer and Gabriel, or yeah, I think it's Gabriel, comes and says, after 21 days of prayer, like comes to him and says, yeah, this battle's been going on. Like he clarifies to Daniel that, hey, there is a battle going on. So those are a couple of the first things that come to mind for me.
Yeah, my mind goes more towards like how I would define spiritual warfare as kind of like this intrinsic battle between good and evil. This constant war waging, between God and the enemy, um, and how just by the nature of being a part of a fallen world, we get enveloped in that to an extent, um, and how we respond to it, um, in terms of our free will, all of that. So,
Yeah, and a lot of these things I kind of ponder as well, and I kind of also kind of tend to view things in terms of what do I think it is, or like kind of what I go into is what have been my experiences with.
mm,
Um, so what did it look like for me, like when it comes in terms of spiritual warfare, and what this can look like, it comes in many different ways. Sometimes we wouldn't associate it as spiritual warfare because we just see it as something completely unrelated to spiritual matters. But at the end of the day, kind of like Marty kind of alluded to earlier, the battle's already been going on.
mm,
Things are going in the background, whether we realize it or not. Kind of, I guess, tying into the Creature series, it all in terms of what we perceive as real. So it's this perceived reality. Whether we want to believe or choose to believe whether these spiritual matters are real, things are happening regardless, whether we believe them to be or not. And it's kind of placing identifiers of saying, oh, that is, versus, oh, it's unrelated. And it's some of those things that I think will be really influential into what we're going to be talking about in this series. Um, and I know we were kind of almost entering into this conversation,
especially towards the
almost,
end.
especially at the end of the Creature series with the spiritual side of
Yeah.
things. I think that was of God, so kind of leading it in that direction, especially kind of with the series that I felt like God was kind of leading us into, which is this spiritual warfare series. So, yeah. So that's a little bit about what it is, but I guess I'll go back to what Marty said earlier, or was it Marty or was it John? I don't even know anymore.
Just say what's on your mind, and then we'll
go back
decide.
a couple, and then you'll find out who it actually was. But it was this good and evil. It might have been Jonathan,
I don't
but
remember.
I don't. Who knows? I don't. The battle of good and evil. It's not something that's just Christian. It's something that is more worldwide. You see it in different religions. Take, for example, yin and yang. Yin and yang is probably a very good example of what this might be. Where the yin is yin white or black.
Actually, I don't remember.
I couldn't tell you.
Well,
I feel yin sounds right.
I want to
as
say
in-
Yeah.
yin is white. But
The
proves
point
what
is-
we
is-
know.
yeah.
But the fact that there's yin and yang,
There's this duality.
there's this duality, but even inside the duality, there's this counter expectation as well. So even within yin, you have a little bit of yang, and within yang, you have a little bit of yin. So just like the duality of fire and water, for example, and partly why this is titled Fire and Water, series drop, is because fire and water can be so good, and yet at the same time can be so devastating. So they both serve a purpose, and that purpose can be used either for good or for bad. It depends on A, your interpretation, B, your expectation, and C, your perspective. So, and kind of how we encompass and encapsulate all of that. So take, for example, like a wildfire, for example.
Very destructive.
It's very destructive is what we tend to think of. We think of it being, chaos driven. So in terms of like good and evil, we might be leaning to say, well, it'd be evil because it's a wildfire. It's wild. It's chaotic. But at the same time, there are some plants that need that fire to be able to germinate and do things. So it brings life in in the midst of destruction. So again, that's that different perspective duality behind something that is destructive yet brings life. And this kind of goes into this idea of, okay, so we have God, who is the author of life, all things life, building up, everything like that. And then there's the antithesis of that, which is the devil, like the enemy, which is death, destruction, tearing down. This duality again.
Mhm.
And God can use what is destructive and turn it into good. And whereas the enemy can use something that's good and twist it into something that isn't. It's that same duality, kind of with the yin and yang idea. But anyway, I don't need to talk for this whole episode, so
Well, just thinking about like that, death and destruction versus life kind of thing. Even, God even uses death and destruction at points,
Yeah.
through the Old Testament.
The flood.
Yeah, look at the flood. Look at Israel when they were in Egypt. Destruction of the firstborn. Um, so many times, and how many kingdoms rose and fall, and it's all dependent on God.
well, and even going into that, so there's often a question that's asked: how can God let these things happen? Like, isn't God supposed to be the author of life? Isn't things supposed to be all roses and gumdrops and rainbows and everything like the in between? Like, why is there so much destruction, even though God says, "Follow me, and you will have life eternal"? And that's a big question,
Yeah.
and that's part of why the spiritual warfare exists. People are gonna have doubts. There are things that come into mind where, boy, I don't know if I trust it. Like, for me, I find myself very much in tune with doubting Thomas. Like, that whole phrase comes from Thomas in the Bible. Put your hand in my side, where he was, pierced by the spear, and his guts came out. But
Yeah.
like, or the hand, like the holes in the hand and all that kind of stuff. Like, see and believe. But what if there are things that we can't see and yet still have to believe? Or is it that we're choosing not to see and trying to escape from our belief? So it's sometimes where it's like, I hear the prayer, uh, God, I pray that you just help my unbelief. Like, just an honest prayer like that. And I think especially in this series, we'll kind of go into probably some things that cause some doubt. We have examples that I know I'm going to bring up for like some of my personal testimony, different things like that, where it could get really deep. And I don't want to be apologetic about it. It'll go deep. People who will watch, and people who won't. I strongly believe that whoever needs to hear this message in this series will listen to it. And that's through the power of God. That's not through anything that we can do. I mean, look, I'm not the greatest technological person, but it's you guys watching, and if you think that somebody out there needs it, feel free to share it. feel free to like offer this as encouragement or something like that. I know we're going to be talking about things that may be challenging for some people. And obviously, we'll be going more and more into depth with some of the Bible stories. As I have a whole smattering of listings when it comes to fire and water, especially. But I also have some spiritual warfare passages because you look things up on the internet or whatever. You're like, what's a spiritual warfare example in the Bible? It's not going to tell you one thing or another. A lot of it's perspective and kind of what you think. So, like, even when you were talking, Marty, about, on the cross, that in and of itself is spiritual warfare, just from the duality of the other two hanging with him.
Yeah.
One's uttering curses to him, and one's like, please remember me.
Yeah.
There's this duality of it as well. One's trying to tear down, one's trying to lift up. Even in the midst of going through the act. When you think, oh, everything's already going according to plan. So, anyone else in this? I feel like I speak most of these episodes. And the times
Brandon, you're just so good at talking.
No, I'm not.
Take the compliment.
Awkward.
Just sit in silence for a second. Let people think.
So how about we talk about how we're going into the Christmas season, and maybe how maybe there's relatives and things that maybe they don't agree with your beliefs, faith-wise or otherwise. What might that look like to navigate kind of that conversation?
Wow, you really just went for the jugular, didn't you?
I'm trying to make it so I'm like almost interviewing you guys so you can talk.
Yeah.
I know, for me at least, we grew up in a family that was a part of the church, and my mom's side of the family has been a part of the church for the longest time. My dad's side of the family hasn't always been. They're starting to get more involved in the last few years, which has been very different because it's not anything anybody ever expected to happen. But it's been really awesome to see. I know, and I don't want to go into so many details, just out of privacy reasons. But I know, entering into the Christmas season, obviously it's my favorite time of the year, but there is a lot of grief around it, specifically because there is family who, again, I'm not going to go into too much detail, just for the sake of it, there is a member of the family who just isn't around anymore. That was a decision that she made. So yeah, there's just I don't even know where I'm going with this, but there's just a lot there. Yeah, I don't even know where I'm trying to go with this, but
like there's just discord.
yes,
There's
that's
a little bit
probably
of division, a little bit.
I would say a lot of division and discord. Yeah. So yes. I don't want to go into too much detail, again, for privacy reasons on
Well, and
a
yeah,
YouTube video.
Yeah.
But
like even for me, I mean, every family isn't perfect.
Yeah.
You see that regardless, and much is the same with even both sides of my family. Like on my mom's side, you want to talk about a fractured family? That's a fractured family right there. Going into it, I guess a little bit. I'm sharing details, but it's not anything that I'm unwilling to share. Like the fact that there may be a little bit of beef because my mom is the only, biological daughter, per versus my aunt and uncle on that side who were adopted. And my aunt and my mom don't really get around, like they don't get along too well, and there's maybe a little bit of animosity because, oh, you're the spoiled younger child, different things like that. And it's again this little bit of discord, but it's kind of permeated into when the family fractures, those those divisions seem even more real. And I find myself in the middle because I almost tried to. I'm almost seeing myself as almost glue that holds things together. Because I'm like one of the only people in the side of the family that'll actually like talk to them, and like because our family,
Extend the olive branch.
yeah, which it's tough, or you get the expectation of, oh, you're trying to be a pastor, so you should do some of these things, or you should be doing more, or you should be X, Y, Z, and that's kind of where some of this um spiritual warfare kind of comes about, where it's like, oh, you should be doing more. Is that my own thoughts? As in, that's my own thoughts? Is it the enemy's thoughts of, oh, shame on you, you should be
Yeah.
doing more? Or, like, is it
Is it an
actually,
actual
or is
calling?
it an actual calling to do more from God?
And that is, I think, one of the most challenging parts about this whole spiritual side of life is the discernment of, is it me? Is it the enemy? Is it God? Because
Hey, guess
sometimes
what?
you
We
just
have a
don't
whole
know.
episode on discernment.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the biggest things of, I've talked to people and they're like, how do you know? Well, sometimes you don't. And that's okay. And what we do is try to constantly figure out. Like, God will answer you. Maybe in ways you don't expect. But God will answer you. Um, yeah. So, talking about my family, that's only one side of the family. Then the other side of the family was turned fractured because of an act that was committed by my grandpa and further split the family. So I don't even see like my aunt and uncle on that side because of what happened. So we don't see them at family gatherings, anything like that anymore. Probably until my grandpa is no longer in the picture. So that's tough, especially when everything was a peaceful little picture, nothing was wrong with it, and then all of a sudden everything fractured all
And
at
it's
once,
like that.
simultaneous. And the funny thing is, oh, I mean, it's not funny. It's totally not funny at all. But when that was happening is when I was starting to struggle with kind of finding a placement for ministry positions and all that kind of stuff. Like I had a residency, did all that kind of stuff. Everything fell apart all at once. And like I'm going to be saying here, spiritual warfare. If the enemy doesn't want something to happen, he will use everything at his disposal to stop. Full stop. um, and it can be a slog to get through some of that stuff. It's not easy. And it's only by the grace of God that I'm even able to go through these things with some semblance of peace and some semblance of I'm okay because God's with me. God's got me. I've been asked, even going through some of the stuff that I've gone through, like when I was at my previous place for the residency, or just like, how are you at peace? Everything's crumbling around you. How do you have peace in the midst of this? I'm like, it's because I have God with me. If I didn't have God with me, I don't know how I'd be able to manage. And it's stuff like that. There's going to be seasons where things just batter you over and over and over and over again. And I feel like I'm in that season right now for me. There's going to be countless waves going into this water motif that constantly wash up against your shore. But every so often, through that tumultuous turmoil of breaking waves and everything, sometimes you find a diamond in the rough. Sometimes God extends that olive branch to you, gives you that peace, that comfort, finding joy in the midst of pain. That you're able to, have that life jacket, or I don't know, life ring. That's what I was going
Floaties.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta get your pool floaties right there.
Swimmies.
Get your doggy paddle going. You're treading water, but you're feeling good about yourself.
Breathing through a straw, but I feel confident about this one.
God, don't pop the pool floaties. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, like it's unexplainable, the peace that you can have. And I mean, sure, it might be easy for us to say here without going into full detail. I will be sharing my testimony on here, and hopefully it doesn't get flagged for reasons. So I'll have to be careful with my words, I think, when it comes to that. But I know, especially when we get into further talks on spiritual warfare, I wanted to bring up some of my experiences in other countries, different things like that. But again, trying to the whole privacy thing is definitely a thing where I want to say more, but I can't.
I feel that.
Yeah. So we'll get into some of that, but I think that this series is just a good segue from kind of the spirituality that we were talking about in the Creature series into what is spiritual warfare. Probably during one of the times where spiritual warfare could probably be the highest, which is around family, especially in seasons like Thanksgiving, Christmas, where
I mean, the association is with joy, but there is a lot of grief and sorrow and pain that comes along with that.
well, even when you lose family.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that everybody talks about. Oh, it's the happiest time of the year, most joyous season of that. No, it's actually the worst for a lot of people. I would even venture to guess for the majority of people, it's probably one of the worst times of the year.
I mean, when you think of it historically,
Yeah.
when you think of the winter, what do you think of? Oh, it's
Yes.
the bleak midwinter. It's all that.
It's the death of.
Right.
It's loss. It's grief. There's no light. There's darkness. And yet, what do we think of during, like, probably the darkest time of the year? Like, quite literally the darkest time of the year, with the shortest day and everything. You think of what brings the most light, the most hope. And I think this message of hope is huge during the time of a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of weeping, mourning, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, obviously it's intentional. Now, I'm pretty sure when the actual event of the Christmas story that we know took place, I believe was actually in like June. But we celebrate it in December, probably over top of some pagan something.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
But it really, I mean, it kind of even goes back to that, people want to cling towards that hope. And when winter is associated with death and grief and pain.
Now it's associated with Santa Claus
Yeah,
and
well,
reindeer and
people are
presents.
clinging towards something that they think will bring them joy, they're clinging towards something, whether that is Jesus or Santa Claus
Commercialism.
and commercialism. I must get the new iPhone.
Yeah.
No, it's
Boy, there's a
Coca-Cola.
spiritual warfare.
Coca-Cola. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Coca-Cola Santa Claus.
Yep.
Polar bear.
But I mean, yeah, in all seriousness, I mean, I don't know, but I would assume why, let's put this holiday in this dark time.
Yeah.
Try to find something that can bring some light.
And
For-
that flows into Easter almost, where okay, now you're exiting that
Yep.
death and into life.
Yep.
Just like God rose from the dead
Exactly.
during a time where all the birds and everything they're coming alive, and all these
Mhm.
other things are coming alive through the springtime.
Yep.
I think it's intentional.
Oh, 100%.
It just so happens to also coincide with other pagan stuff that goes seasonally.
Yeah.
Now I think we're going in a whole different direction. Let's see. Let's actually review the notes I actually had for the series, which I totally didn't do. I mean, what? I didn't review the series? Oh man, it's almost like I'm teaching after this. Okay, let's go through my notes. What do I even have first? Yes.
We'll spend 8 weeks talking about the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
Honestly, that would be pretty good, actually.
It's actually one of my favorite books, and it's, I think, obviously not a one-to-one of what spiritual warfare looks like, but I do think he gives a good characterization to,
Or even I think of the Scarlet Letter
the Scarlet Letter. Yeah.
is another good example of like, oh, your messages are really, really good, Pastor.
Yeah.
They feel so real.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh crap, the
Yeah.
guilt is eating me alive. So I guess if you don't know what we're talking about, go look it up. Look it up and you'll find out. Yeah. So what we'll talk about next week is kind of looking into the primitive elements of fire and water, among other elements that we'll see. And the significance of the two, what they meant for the cultures that they were in, even what they mean now. What does that look like? We kind of alluded to it at the beginning, like in the example of a wildfire, the duality of it, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So this is going to be, I think, a shorter episode as it's introducing the new series. But any other closing thoughts on spiritual warfare, fire and water,
Nothing without getting too deep.
Yeah.
whatever? Which end of the pool?
Yeah.
How deep you going?
Yeah, that goes 16 feet.
Yeah.
Maybe deeper.
What? Not 2 feet? Don't want to dive into that.
No,
Yeah,
we're
right.
not. We're not waiting.
No.
This isn't a wade pool.
It's like Olympic diving here.
Just don't let the pool be frozen. Belly flop contest anymore? Spiritual warfare. No, don't do it. Then I think of like the what was it, the world record or something, where there's a guy like really high up into a tiny little kiddie pool
That's
to belly
insane.
flop.
Yeah.
Well, I really do wonder what the thought process is there. Like,
It's like, are
Is
you?
there any?
probably. Well, I'm assuming the thought process is I'm about to break a world record.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it kills me or
Right,
not, I
yeah.
don't care.
No,
I get
he's
the feeling.
about to break something.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. I mean, for sure. If not die, but
It's not Minecraft.
Yeah.
water bucket release.
Yeah. One block. That's all we need.
MLG water bucket. MLG water bucket. What? It doesn't work like that in real life? Oh, darn. Well, shucks. As long as somebody doesn't turn it to ice at the bottom, then we're good. Oh, you were wearing ice shoes? Crosswalker shoes? Oh, well, that's that stinks.
And that's your nerd part of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, this is the nerd corner after all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, any other last thoughts, or are we just rambling for the sake
Oh,
of
we are
rambling?
most
We're
certainly rambling.
absolutely-
Well, I guess that'll be it for this video. Stay tuned for future episodes, and we will catch you then.
See you next time.
Adios.
See ya. No idea. We'll find out in post.